Celebrate the iconic Crucible Theatre, a glorious arena of champions. Remember the passion and dedication of the Titans of the Green Bays.
He is.
The whispered commentary.
Everything's starting to flow now. Making hay while the sun shines.
The late night battles.
This is really unbelievable.
The tears and laughter of the game's greatest players.
A young man crying with joy.
I don't believe this.
5 minutes for one unbelievable maximum break.
The drama and the passion. As the best in the world come head to head. For 17 days, they all battle for that iconic title. Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.
Good morning. After 11 long months of crisscrossing the globe in search of sporting glory and a further 12 weeks on lockdown, the finest players on the planet are poised for the climax of the season. All good things come to those who wait. At last, we are edging towards the 2020 Betfred World Snooker Championship. All that prestige and the prize money, £500,000 on the line. It promises to be an absolute cracker. Qualifying finished last night at the English Institute of Sport, and there really is something for everyone. 5 debutants made it through, and across the 32 players in the hunt for the title, 9 of them flourishing into their 40s, and I'm delighted to be joined by 2 men flourishing into their respective decades. We won't give them away. Fred Doan, looking ever youthful and rather tanned. Have you been anywhere nice, Fred?
Only in the garden doing the touchy gardening, but you know the one thing I've got to say to you, I'm so pleased that we've managed to get this competition on again. I am so pleased.
We all are, and John Parrott, 1991 world champion. We are genuinely grateful, aren't we, to be back talking about this great sport again, doing the jobs we all love.
Absolutely, and a massive thank you to Fred and his company for sponsoring the tournament. Everybody will be looking forward to seeing live sport on the television, and the players will be chomping at the bit just to get out and play competitive snooker in the best venue.
And John, just a quick word on last night. We had tears of relief and joy from the players who made it through, and sometimes members of the public who only tune in for the live action. Every ball, every frame, every match, by the way, Eurosport and the BBC, 10 o'clock Friday, don't miss a single second. Those guys who come through qualifying, they really go through the ringer. The pressure you can sense at the English Institute is incredible.
Well, the total difference between winning and losing is just enormous for them. And if they've never played there, they are in for a treat. I mean, I can remember starting as a kid, and that's where you want to play snooker. You want to go to the Crucible and play. It is our Wembley.
Right, here we go then. The way the draw will work, if you're watching for the first time, Fred Doan will have the balls for the 16 seeds who are sitting pretty during the 11 days of qualifying, and John Parrott will draw out the 16 qualifiers, and we have 5 first-timers in the mix. Pencils ready, ladies and gents. This is where it gets ever so tasty. And if you're a player, don't hide behind the sofa. You might get the draw of your dreams. Fred Doan, first ball, please.
Number 16.
16, Yan Bing Chow, the exciting young talent. Won a ranking title at the start of this season as a teenager, by the way.
Number 28.
We'll play Elliot Slessor, the first-timer, who beat the Minister of Defence, Martin O'Donnell.
Number 8.
Kyron Wilson, 3 times a ranking event winner, Crucible semi-finalist, knows what it takes for the single-table setup.
We'll play number 25.
Anthony Hamilton, back at the Crucible for the first time since 2008.
Number 6.
The Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan, 5 times a champion of the world. John, who is it?
Number 17.
Chaya Unnu. Oh my gosh, it could be over in 5 minutes. The 2 fastest players on the circuit. That's unbelievable. Blink and you'll miss it.
Number 5.
John Higgins, 4 times he's lifted the big one. He's been in the last 3 finals.
Number 19.
And he will play Matthew Stevens, twice a finalist, back for a 17th Crucible campaign.
Number 11.
Ding Junhui, 14 times a ranking event winner, reigning UK champion. Fantastic run in York.
Number 24.
We'll play Mark King, back for the first time since 2013.
Number 13.
Jackpot Jack Lazowski, Scottish Open finalist this season.
Play number 21.
We'll play Anthony McGill, back for a 6th consecutive Crucible, made the quarters on his debut back in 15.
Number 14.
Stuart Bingham, reigning Masters champion, lifted the big one in 2015, and the ball run will play.
Number 30.
Ashley Carter, the debutant from Rotherham, who was in tears at the end of his match after not only securing a debut, but securing his place on tour for another 2 years.
Number 4.
Mark Allen, Masters champion, 5 times a ranking event winner, and the pistol will play.
32.
Oh my gosh, Jamie Clark in tears last night after beating Sonny Akani. What a brutal debut for him.
Number 15.
Barry Hawkins, 3 times a ranking event winner, Crucible runner-up in 2013.
Play number 31.
Alexander Ursenbacher, we're calling him the Federer of the Bays. We'll try and come up with something better by the time he plays. He's Switzerland's first man to qualify. He was choking back tears at the qualies as well.
Number 3.
Mark Williams, the most laid-back man in snooker, 3 times a world champion.
Number 26.
We'll play Alan the Angles McManus, who'll be the oldest player at the Crucible since the Nugget Steve Davis made the quarters in 2010.
Number 7.
Number 7, Mark Selby, 3 times a world champion, 3 times a Masters champion.
29.
We'll play Jordan Brown, the Antrim Ferrari. What a story for his debut. He'll be loving it.
Number 10.
Sean Murphy, first season of his career in which he's won 2 ranking titles. Great win at the Welsh in February.
22.
We'll play Nopom Sangkam, the 28-year-old, made his debut in 2017. 2 players from Thailand in the 32.
Number 2.
Neil Robertson, 2010 world champion. He's in cracking form this season, Robbo.
Number 20.
We'll play Liang Wenbo, who came through a 10-9 thriller against 5-ton Fergal O'Brien.
Number 1.
The defending, reigning world champion, Judd Trump. A record 6 ranking titles this season so far.
We'll play number 18.
Tom Ford, delighted to come through the qualifiers. What a mouth-watering prospect.
Number 9.
Number 9, Stephen Maguire, the newly crowned Tour Championship winner, won the World Cup with John Higgins at the start of this season.
Number 27.
We'll play Martin Gould, who beat Graham Dott last night. Martin Gould, a German Masters winner, was threatening to retire.
And finally, number 12.
Dave Gilbert, what a run to the semis. We were all so emotional, but will those tears be of joy this year for Gilbert?
And the final qualifier, number 23.
We'll play Kurt Mafflin, the Norwegian, back for his 2nd Crucible appearance. Well, John Parrott, I just cannot believe Ronnie O'Sullivan will be playing Tepchaya Anu. I normally say blink and you'll miss him when I'm introducing the Rocket. I think you could say that about Tepchaya, who, by the way, was averaging about 14 seconds a shot in his qualifier last night. That's going to be quick.
He doesn't get much value for money, does he, Tepchaya? He's in there and out quick, but a fantastic player. Love watching him play. And the fact that he's got Ronnie O'Sullivan, I mean, that is just an open match that should be wonderful to watch.
It will be a match for the ages for the first round. And Fred, Judd Trump opens with Tom Ford. It's just going to be a great occasion, isn't it? Especially when 2 months ago, if you'd have asked any of us if the World Championship was going to happen, we'd have probably said reluctantly no. We are game on Friday. It's going to be sensational.
Yeah, 2 months ago it was odds against this competition even taking place. And I've got to say, this is the first time since we did this sponsored this competition that Ronnie O'Sullivan has not started favourite. So that's we've got a new favourite in here in Judd Trump.
We certainly have. And speaking of Judd Trump, he, like all of us, is just delighted that the 2020 Betfred World Snooker Championship will be happening on Friday at 10 o'clock.
At one point, I think everyone was quite worried. The sort of logistics of being able to put on a tournament that big and the qualifying stages was always going to be difficult, but I think everyone involved with snooker, Matchroom, World Snooker, everyone behind the scenes has done an amazing job at the Championship League and again with the top 8 tournaments. So I think Barry is always going to find a way, if it's possible, to get everything done. And I think snooker's in a good place. And it's now just exciting to look forward to that event, and hopefully all going well, that things go ahead as planned and have that chance to defend the title. Obviously it's going to be a little bit different behind the scenes and stuff, but just being able to walk out there and into that arena, even if there is no one there, is going to be special for me. It was even more special playing John after what had happened in the 2011 final. It was nice to get revenge, and it was so comfortable in the end that I was able to sort of enjoy it. I know a lot of my finals you kind of don't even know what's happened, and you win 10-8, 10-9 or whatever, but this was one, as well as the Masters against Ronnie. Both times I've played two of the greatest people to have ever played the game, and been able to really sort of take in everything that's going on and be so comfortable out there that I was able to fully enjoy every moment. It was quite overwhelming to win it finally, and just so much sort of pressure and relief sort of just left my body after winning that event. And I think you've seen this season, just able to really fully enjoy myself and relax, and kind of proved what I'm about on the table, and everyone's now seen what I'm capable of doing, and just about keeping that consistency up now. Every great of the game, Stephen Hendry, Ronnie, John Higgins, Steve Davis, have never won it, so returning after winning it for their first time. So for me, it's about getting over that first hurdle. I don't want to go out there and lose first game, so there'll be a little bit of pressure on that. But I think if I can get over that and get into the tournament, then there's absolutely no reason why I can't go and do well there.
The words of the reigning defending champion Judd Trump. And Fred, he's 5-2 on. It's his to take.
You know what he said there? He said that no first-time defending champion has ever successfully defended it. He's 5-2 to win it. I'm not going to go 5-2. I'm going to push it out a full point more. I'm going to go 7-2 because it's a big ask in my opinion. I wish him well, but I think it's a difficult situation for him.
It certainly is. I mean, two players have got ever so close to breaking that curse. Joe Johnson the year after he won it in the mid-80s, and then Ken Doherty reached successive finals, losing out to John Higgins in 98 after winning it in 97. It's harder than it looks lifting that trophy, and you'd know. Yeah,
I'll get fed up with people telling them as well, but you know, every press conference he goes to, if he comes through his first round, I mean, Tom Ford, if I was Tom Ford looking at it, I think there's a shot to nothing there, because Judd's just said he's going to be nervous the first round. You know, Tom can go and relax and play his game and give him plenty of headaches. He's a good player, Tom. I fully agree with. I mean, I do think it's a big ask, but I think he's certainly capable. He's been the player of the season so far. He's just got to blank out the Crucible curse, and if he can do that, he'd probably have a good run in the tournament.
And of course, on the everyday, when you're stopped in the street, for me it's about once a fortnight, people always like asking me about Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's really hard to call how it might go for him this year, because he is an incredible talent. He has won a title this season, but he's competing a little more sparingly now. He loves his media work with Eurosport. He hasn't won it since 2013, but he's clearly still got the ability. What do you assess, apart from you having a laugh about Tepchai Anu, if he can come through that lightning quick match, what do you assess of his chances this year?
I think it's a massive chance. I mean, I can't believe it's 2013 since he's won it, strictly on levels of ability. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you'd have said he hadn't won one since then, I'd have been very surprised, which I am. It's basically down to Ronnie. If Ronnie decides to turn up in the 17 days, suits him, and it's probably a less razzmatazz this year with less people in the audience and less things to worry about. If he turns up and plays properly, he could go all the way. Of course he could. It's up to Ronnie.
Well, he is one of 32 players in the mix. So here we've got a little recap of the draw for you. This is the top half. Judd Trump against Tom Ford. Tom Ford doing brilliantly to come through the qualifiers. Yan Bing Chow, we're going to hear a lot about the young man. He took a title at the start of the season as a teenager at Riga. Elliot Slesser, we haven't got a nickname for the debutant yet. Maybe you can help us out with that on Twitter. Stephen Maguire, that's a really interesting match against Martin Gould. Maguire took the Tour Championship title. Remember, he had 6 centuries in his opener against Neil Robertson. He's in fantastic form, Mags. Martin Gould, well, he said he's gone through some issues away from the table, but he's right back to his very best. That was a tough draw against Graham Dott in the qualifiers last night. He came through brilliantly. Kyron Wilson, he's been to the single table setup. And how about that? Anthony Hamilton at 49 is making his first appearance at the Crucible since 2008. The Sheriff of Pottingham. I didn't come up with that nickname, I promise, but I think we're stuck with it for now. He's been around for such a long time. John Higgins and Matthew Stevens, a match for the ages in the first round. John Higgins, 4 times a champion. He's been in the last 3 finals. Matthew Stevens has been in 2. He said he took it pretty easy during lockdown, but don't be fooled. He played brilliantly to come through the qualifiers. Dave Gilbert against Kurt Mafflin. Kurt Mafflin now spends half his time in Norway. Amazing to think he's only back at the Crucible for a second time. Gilbert was in tears when he lost the decider in the semis to John Higgins last year. It was one of the most emotional sporting moments I can ever remember. I wonder whether those tears will be of joy this year. Jackpot Jack Lazowski against Anthony McGill. Well, Anthony raced to the quarters on his debut a few years ago. He's had a couple of years in the wilderness, but I think he looked pretty good at the qualifiers. He's a player who thrives in the long frame format. And then down the bottom there, Mark Allen made it to the Tour Championship final, runner-up to his great mate Stephen Maguire against the debutant Jamie Clark, who, a bit like Ash Carty, saved his Tour card by winning through to the Crucible. Mark Williams and Alan McManus, my goodness me. Willow, well, what is he now, 45 against McManus, 49 and a half? A battle of the old guys, and McManus will fancy that. Remember, he won the Masters title in '94. Willow is a 3-time world champion. Stuart Bingham took the big one here in 2015. I mentioned Ash Carty. He's from Rotherham, practices in Sheffield, one of Yorkshire's very own. He too kept his tour dreams alive with the £20,000 qualifying for the Crucible. Massive occasion for him. Ding Junhui, 14 times a ranking event winner. He's the reigning UK champion, but he's had a funny old season. Enter the Dragon. He really has, because he's done nothing leading up to the UK or since. I wonder if Mark King fancies the job. He last appeared at the Crucible back in 2013. And then you really could say, blink and you'll miss it. Ronnie O'Sullivan, the 5-time world champion, against the other quickest player on tour, Tepchire Unnu. Whenever they schedule that match for, set your recorder if you can't watch it live. It could be absolute fireworks. Tepchire is one of the most entertaining players on the circuit, and he will relish that battle against the Rocket. Mark Selby against Jordan Brown. Selby, well, remember, he's won 2 ranking titles this season, the English and the Scottish. He's been a bit quiet since Christmas, but you don't win 3 world titles unless you're sheer class. Jordan Brown will need to be right on top of his game. He's delighted to make it through to the Crucible. Shaun Murphy, well, the Smurf won the world title in '05 as a qualifier, and this is the first season of his career where he's won 2 ranking titles. Very impressive win at the Welsh. Nopom Siankam is our second player from Thailand in the mix, and he too was absolutely over the moon to make it through the qualifiers. Barry Hawkins took a little while to settle into life at the Crucible, but after losing to Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final, a slow start in that match, but he played really well towards the end. He's made multiple semi-finals. He's comfortable at the one-table setup, and what an occasion for Alexander Ursenbacher, the Federer of the Bays, the first player from Switzerland ever to make it to the Crucible. And last but by no means least, the number 2 seed was separated the 2 halves of the draw. Neil Robertson against Liang Wenbo, a rerun of the UK Championship final in 2015. Liang coming out second on that occasion, but he beat Fergal O'Brien 10-9 with a beautiful clearance of 1-4-1 in a nerveless decider. And John, we were talking when we were going through the rehearsals, we've said a lot about Judd and we've said a lot about Ronnie. That bottom quarter of the draw is absolutely insane. You've got Selby, Hawkins, Murphy and Robertson. That's going to take blood, sweat and tears just to get into the quarters, let alone the final.
100%. That is the quarter of doom if you ever want one. And of course it's been made worse because Liang Wenbo certainly is one of the best qualifiers, and Neil Robertson's got him first round as well. So you're going to have to play some snooker just to get through to the quarter final there.
One match I'd love to ask you about, John Higgins against Matthew Stevens. I mean, those two are 2 of the most experienced Crucible campaigners, and John will feel, having lost 3 successive finals, magnificent runs to get to those big showdowns, John will feel he really wants to deliver this year, but Matthew's got bags of experience at the Crucible and seems to peak at the right time.
Yeah, and is also playing with an attitude of not that he doesn't care, but a lot less putting on himself. And so he came through the qualifiers. He only turned up for a couple of days' practice, he said, before he went to the qualifiers. So he's taken the pressure off himself. rather like Tom Ford with Judd Trump, it's a shot to nothing. He can go there, relax and play his snooker. And we all know Matthew Stevens, he's a top class player and he's got crucibility. He's always been able to play in that venue.
I reckon you should patent that word, crucibility. I love it. Fred Doan, thank you very much. John Parrott, thanks a lot. I know you're heading down to London to oversee the BBC coverage. Every ball, every frame, every match. It's the Betfred World Snooker Championship. It starts on Friday, 10 o'clock. Judd Trump walking down the stairs to try and beat the Crucible curse. The first man blocking his path is Tom Ford. We've got some mouth-watering matches. It's all live on Eurosport and the BBC. Let the 17-day marathon begin. Here we go. Don't miss a single second. See you Friday.
Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.